Hi there, I'm Danielle Lynn, and welcome to another episode of Soul Alchemy with Danielle Lynn. In today's video, we're going to talk a bit about crystals. Now, I love crystals. Ever since I was a little kid, crystals really fascinated me. Check them out. It's one of those things where you go, wow, this is something naturally created. It's beautiful. And, ever since I saw them, I used to buy all the books, when I'd go to the gift stores, I'd want to buy the big scoops of gemstones and take a look at them all. And there were so many shapes and colors and styles and sizes. I did a lot of research and discovering and exploring about crystals. And later, when I became more curious about the metaphysical, I studied a lot about why metaphysically we're so drawn to crystals and why people talk about crystals being useful for healing or for certain metaphysical properties. And in today's video, I'm going to share with you some of the things that I've explored. We're going to start at a very basic level. I think the basics are one of the best places to start with anything because they serve as the foundation for anything we explore. So let's start with maybe what we've heard about crystals. So at the time of making this video, crystals have made a huge comeback. There are so many people who are really excited about the new age properties of crystal, and this crystal can help you with your homework, and this crystal helps you lose weight, and this crystal can give you like cool hair. And while I really love that so many people are excited about crystals again and that they're opening themselves up to the possibilities of what they can do and what they can co-create with crystals, I thought it would be really cool to add a few layers of information to help people understand, well, why are people making these claims about crystals? Why can I sit here and go, well, yes, this crystal will help you with expanding your consciousness? Why? Where does that come from? What is the perception behind that? Because I think one of the coolest things we can do for ourselves in this reality, anytime we choose to believe something, right? Anytime we choose to connect with a belief structure, I think it serves us really well to ask ourselves a little bit, when you go beyond the initial, like, because it feels right place, to get a little bit curious as to why. What's the connecting point with this? Because it really helps you explore how creation works. It helps you get a little bit more clear about beliefs and why you're drawn to certain things so that you don't rely on just dogma to live your life, which, I'm a big fan of being really picky and choosy about what you choose to perceive and believe in reality. So, let's talk a bit about crystals and why they may seem to have these interesting metaphysical properties. So, as you know, I talk a lot about how we are inner to outer creators in our reality. And one of the ways that I describe this is that we are resonant creators. We create first at a level of vibration, of resonance, of intention. We create at the level of which energy moves. And then that energy comes filtered through thoughts and through emotions, and then finally through physical action and physical manifestations, as it were, physical creations, physical explorations we have. Now, those energetic reflections, resonances, and what have you could be looked at as a crystalline structure. Similar to how we look at things like sacred geometry and mandalas, right? We see some of these structures and, this is supposed to be sacred for this reason and that reason. Well, it's kind of like when you look at some of these patterns, it's almost like a form of communication. It's representing a certain kind of vibration that you might tune into. And crystals are almost a physical manifestation of certain resonances. They are like a crystallized form of certain mandalas or vibrational frequencies. So when you have certain crystals and certain minerals and certain shapes, it's almost like you are holding a blueprint of a certain resonance. And it's not that, the blueprint itself is going to do things for you. It's like if you were to go, it's like if you were to hold up a map and you're like, okay, map, go, take me to this destination, right? we use the map, we look at the map and we go, oh, okay, the direction is this way, and then we move. We take the steps that way. In a similar way, a crystal is like a resonant map. They can sometimes be amplifiers themselves. They can sometimes have a bit of a, almost like a auric effect, like an aura, and we're tuning into it, almost the way you might listen to certain music and relax yourself and go, oh yeah, that music chills me out. You might tune into a crystal and go, oh yeah, this reminds me that I'm connected in this way or that way. Something I like to remind people of is that we are programmable crystals in a sense. We are programmable crystals. We are like water. There's so much water in our body, and water is like a programmable, fluid, crystalline structure. So when we are tuning into things like words and mantras and crystals, we are programming ourselves in a certain way. So, how do we work with crystals then? Well, just like I said, we're programmable. We are programmable beings, and crystals are like a blueprint that we can tune into and self-program. So when you have a certain crystal, and perhaps, it says the metaphysical properties, help you with consciousness expansion, or this crystal helps you tune into peace, or this crystal helps you tune into forgiveness, whatever it is. What they are suggesting is that this crystal is known for a pattern that you can program within yourself to help you tune in, to that aspect, that resonance that you most want to live in the moment. And in that way, crystals are companions and friends and teachers that work alongside of us. But it's not necessarily their job to do the heavy lifting for us, as it were. Now, crystals, like being around them, what do they say? The company you keep can help influence you. Well, keep the company of certain crystals and the resonance will rub off on you a bit. But remember, in a similar way, you also rub off a bit on the crystals, which is why you might hear every once in a while people talking about recharging crystals or refreshing crystals, because you actually do influence the environment and the beings around you as well. Now, when it comes to what each crystal does or what crystal is right for you, I always encourage connecting with yourself first. You are a storehouse of wisdom and knowledge, and crystals are like friends and guides and tools and teachers and companions that can help you. And when you talk to yourself, when you ask yourself, hey, what's resonating with me? What works with me? Who works with me? You'll often get an intuitive sense of what crystals to work with. Sometimes it's really, really simple and basic. You might feel drawn to a certain color. So look up a lot of crystals around that color, and maybe one or more of them are like, wow, I really want to pick that one up. And that's a good indicator that you're feeling really called to work with that crystal. Now, the other thing I'll say about crystals is I would encourage you to connect and talk with them the way you would other people, plants, or animals. Crystals do have a level of, I want to call it conscious, that's not the word I'm looking for. Crystals have this level of community sentience. It's almost as though when you're tapping into one crystal, you're tapping into the community of crystals that it resonates with. So when you're working with one, you're working with all, and you're also connecting with all the beings that are connecting with the crystal. It's a wonderful internet tool that's very natural. And it's a fun way to realize how interconnected we all are. Now, what I would also suggest is anytime you're working with crystals, remember that you might work with a crystal for a day, for a week, for a year, for a lifetime, but you'll know when it's time for the crystal to move on from you and your life. You will just know. You'll know if it's time to give it to someone. You'll know if it's time to move on. And I would highly suggest having that kind of spirit with crystals, like not having like I gotta hold on to this kind of spirit, because crystals will find their way into your life. You will find extraordinary crystals that come to you if you have a willingness to let them go, because then they will know that they can come to you when they're needed to come to you, and then they can leave you when they're ready to leave you. And by having that kind of spirit of allowing things to flow in and out of your life, you'll have some real cool things flowing in and out of your life. So for now, that concludes our first video on crystals and exploring crystals. If you have any questions at all, please do leave them in the comments. I love your questions and your comments. If you are curious about crystals or exploring more, let me know. I might put some more resources up here for you to check out. There's a lot of great information out there. Trust your intuition a bit. You'll know when you're working with someone who's really connecting with crystals at a big level. If there's a lot of interest on this, even if there's not, I probably will do something with crystals anyway because I love them so much. Also, if you want more resources that have to do with metaphysical explorations and things like that, I encourage you to head over to daniellelyn.com because I have resources and posts up there for you. As always, it has been an incredible pleasure being here with you and creating this video. I love you very much at our soul family level, and I'm really looking forward to the next video that we participate in together. Goodbye for now.